I have been talking about birth rate declines globally, and I am talking about the global implications and what it means as birth rates decline and populations age. I will say, someone asked me to look into Mexico, and I did. And of all of the countries that I've done so far, I am especially surprised about Mexicans' birth rate. So, Mexico's birth rate is currently at about a 1.9, so a little under two children per woman. And why is that surprising to me? Because I think that the stereotypes that Mexican women are just pumping out babies pervaded my brain. And what I also want to talk about is that many times the actual numbers or the reality of what is going on in our world, it doesn't, um, perception doesn't catch up to reality at the same time. So, like in 1960, there were over six children per woman in Mexico. In the 1980s, it was still above four children per woman. Right now, it is currently less than two children per woman in Mexico. The Mexican birth rate in the United States is even lower because it is more in line with the United States, which is at 1.64 currently. I am not exactly sure what this means for the global politics, the immigration debates, and all of that. All I know is that the numbers are dropping dramatically, and it is happening globally. In each of the countries that I have visited so far, these numbers have been uh, not too many of these places have a fertility rate that is above the replacement rate, and the replacement rate is 2. I will say I did not find many articles that were talking about Mexican the Mexican birth rate. I will say that, but I found this article that was talking about the population prediction. So, according to this article, Mexico's population will reach its peak in 2053, before it starts to shrink. The country is currently sitting at about 131 million. It'll reach its peak of 147 million by 2053, and then it will shrink down, according to these forecasts, to about 141 million by 2070. So, this report also says the percentage of children age 0 to 11 will decrease from 19.5% to 10.5% between 2023 and 2070. What does that mean? What it's saying is that the amount of people that will be available to actually create more humans in that country will shrink. And they use these numbers for drivers that are talking about construction, population planning, nursing home planning, school planning, and all of that. That is the reason why they put a number on our wombs, because the amount of babies that we create actually helps to fund and fuel the economic growth, population, and all of that. But the largest share of the population by 2070 will be elderly folks. So these are the people that will not be able to participate in the economy as much because they are obviously getting older. Now, this is increasing from 12% to 34%. So that is almost a threefold, that is triple the amount of people that are elderly. Now, this is the part that really stood out for me. Comparing population numbers from 1950 and 2019, the report says that in 1970, the national fertility rate was 6.5 children per woman. That statistic has decreased to 1.94 and is predicted to decline by 1.55 by 2070. Mexico City has the lowest birth rate with 1.4 children per woman. Now, what does this say to me? I am wondering what the US population growth, what our birth rate will be by 2070, because it is already 1.64. So lots of women are already opting out. The economy is just not there for the people that do want to have kids or want to have multiple. But this is showing me that globally, women are tired of birthing all these children. And so, as more and more options become available for women to restrict the amount of babies they have or terminate the pregnancies that they have, obviously, women are choosing to not have as many children, and they're doing it by whatever means they have available. I want to also point out that Mexico has decriminalized women getting reproductive care, extending Latin American trend of widening access to the procedure. So women actually have more reproductive freedoms than some parts of the United States, where our country and some conservatives are really trying to squash women's access. So this article came out about a month ago. Mexico's Supreme Court threw out all federal criminal penalties for reproductive care, a ruling that national laws prohibiting the procedure are unconstitutional and violate women's rights in a sweeping decision that extended Latin Americans' trend of widening reproductive access. The High Court ordered that reproduction care be removed from the federal penal code. The ruling will require federal public health service and all federal health institutions to offer reproductive choices to anyone who requests. No woman or pregnant person, nor any health worker will be punished for reproductive care choices. Some 20 Mexican states, however, still criminalize reproductive care choices. While judges in those states will have to abide by the court's decision, further legal work will be required to remove all penalties. Celebration of the ruling spilled out onto social media. Today is a day of victory and justice for Mexican women. The government organization called the decision a big step towards gender equality. Senator Olga Sanchez Cordero, a former Supreme Court justice, applauded the ruling, saying on X that it represented an advance toward a more just society in which the rights of all are respected. So, with all of this said, I can see how things might just continue down the trajectory that is coming down, especially with all of the immigration towards the United States. Will this country get, whatever reasons why all of these women and children are trying to immigrate up to the United States? Will they fix the root of the issue? Because obviously women are not wanting to have children for a reason. A lot of the times when these countries are in flux, like our country, we have women here that are deciding that they don't want to bring children into the world. And across the world, globally, women are opting out. So what are these governments, what are these leaders going to do to ensure that that the world is a safe place to actually have children, if they want women to opt in to having children? Because what I see right now, I have been watching global trends and women are saying, get someone else to do it. Now, if Akon were to enter this chat, he said that women aren't needed, that, they can get some incubators or sorts. So maybe these government people need to speak to Akon about how these incubators work, because I don't believe that he really expounded the way that we need him to expound. Y'all go ahead, jump in the chat. Let me know what you think, if there is a country that you want to explore. Up next, I need to explore the Nordic countries, because those were the countries I was asked to expound on. So I will work on